The Backroom started as a video a teenager made in Blender in his bedroom, and this summer it turned in a huge movie with even bigger hype. And watching that, I was really wondering how far we can get with current technologies, such as video AI. I saw crazy examples and did tests myself, but what it really takes to create something consistent, a complete story. So I took it seriously, contacted some people who earn really good money right now doing video AI on a commercial basis, and made my complete 90 seconds full film inspired by Backrooms. I'm gonna show you whole process, what works, what not, gonna track expenses, and we're gonna summarize how much it costs eventually. And spoiler, getting really good results, it's not one click, but as a tool with right approach, it works. That was really big video for me, guys, so hit that like to support me, really appreciate it. Let's get started. Okay, so it all starts with preparation, of course, and I cannot underestimate how important is that, because that's how you define whole future development of that video. And thanks, Fable 5 was right back when I started doing that. And of course, for a storyboard, for a script, for ideation, to shape your ideas, etc., I was using Claude. ChatGPT 5.6 also can do the job nicely. You can actually compare the results whichever you like most. So first thing, put my idea into Claude and created initial script with time splits. But that's only the direction. Next thing, of course, references and master prompts. For all of this, I used Higgsfield Cinema Studio because it allowed to create projects and keep all the things in one place, which is really appreciated. For all images, I'm gonna use Nano Banana Pro or ChatGPT Image 2. I like both of them depending on the case. And for video, of course, Cdance 2 4K. Master prompt is basically an image describing your character from all angles. Well, you don't really need a lot of angles, front, back, close up to the face, and maybe some specific parts like shoes. And also it helps a lot to have master prompt for different states. So my character at some point will be holding camera and he will be wet because he will be dropping into the pool. And that's why I have another master prompt, such as this one. He's holding camera and he's basically wet. For the camera itself, I'm also gonna prepare the image. And there will be also a crib. To come up with the prompts to generate that image, of course, ChatGPT or Claude will help you. That's not an issue, but it will take some time to figure out the right one. For me, prompting and getting right characters, etc., is probably the longest part until I'm really happy with the results. And when I do image generation, I always do 4 generation at once so I can go and check. Same thing we're gonna need to do with the location. But again, like depending on how much locations you have, you might have some master prompt for the location. That will be also to create some additional location, etc. So in my case, I went surfing into the internet and Pinterest and found some really nice references that I'm gonna use to create my master prompt inspired by them. And after a while back and forth, I got this master prompt. Again, that's not the only location I will need, but this is like a direction master prompt for the direction. I'm gonna use it to color or recolor some other location. I'm gonna show you how it works, and that's pretty decent approach. So to summarize at this stage, I got 2 master prompts for my main character. I have 1 master prompt for a creep. I have a door because it will be needed in one moment. I have master prompt for the room and the camera, because camera will be often shown. And now we are still not ready to do the generation because we're gonna need a storyboard. Well, you can try to just describe accurately what you want, what is the view, camera, etc., but that will lead to high token consumption, a lot of retries, and the worst thing is the frustration. So instead we're gonna use professional approach, which is playblasting, and it is way easier than you imagine. You don't need perfect playblast, you don't need perfect characters, and in this case I intentionally gonna use this mannequin that is not animated or stuff. You don't need that. In fact, sometimes you want less details reflected in Playblast so AI can predict more natural movement, because it's quite difficult to do a natural character movement in Playblast, like the animation. While camera the angle, the perspective, this is what we need. We're gonna save so much time explaining like how we want to direct shot if we already set it. And of course, Seedance understand that. And with Seedance 2.5, it will be even better with more prompts, etc. Maybe by the time you watch this video, there is already Seedance 2.5 also released on Higgsfield. And also to mention, Higgsfield right now is my choice for video AI and is also highly estimated by professional artists that I work with. I think right now is the top one platform in terms of video AI and on surrounding infrastructure. The amount of features that they provide is insane. A lot of tutorials, and for me as a YouTuber, it's very important that they do have exclusive access to Seedance new models. All new video AI models exclusively released a week or more before the official release on Higgsfield. So at least give it a try, but of course the approach I described is general. And in fact, using ComfyUI, this approach is necessity to get some proper results. One hack, by the way, shared by professionals was to create a storyboard as one image with a different camera views, etc. So this one is a bit bad in terms of style, but you can get the idea of what's going to happen frame by frame based on your storyboard. This visual storyboard can be a good hint for later. So at this stage, I created Playblast for all the shots with directing the camera. I was not really paying a lot of attention on details, and you can use any software, of course, like Blender. If you need some specific 3D asset, you can generate them with AI. There's a lot of free options to do that, such as on Hunyun. So just generate some asset, drop it here, remove the textures, and that will be a good visual reference. Eventually, I got all my Playblast in place, and it's time to combine them in one sequence. Also, Playblasts help to understand how much time per each episode you require. Let's say I do have the episode when the character goes under the floor, and from the script I was thinking it will take like 3 to 4 seconds, but in reality that's a very short episode, which I realized when I did the Playblast. So think about it as animated draft storyboard. Well then, now we are ready to start doing first shots. However, for each shot, we're gonna need starting frame and sometimes the end frame. As a recommendation, I was advised to mainly use the first shot and do not limit the freedom of the model for the end shot, because then results are less naturally. And if you use Playblast as an input, you don't really need end frame, and the first frame also used more for coloring. And you can also see how I do the coloring of the frames. I use tags, and that worked really well, especially in Higgsfield. It's very convenient. You basically name the elements, which will be the first image, the second image, and with Claude codes, you can explain that there will be tags, and it will also help write you prompts with those tags preserved. And yeah, the results are obviously much better. While sometimes providing too much references, even to smartest models such as Nano Banana Pro, don't give you the right result or mess the results. That happened to me to the second shot, and I was trying to do that like view with the camera from the shelf, and I had to remove additional reference of the shelves, and I asked Claude to just enrich the description so we don't need to provide visual reference. Instead, we're gonna just try to describe that in text, and that worked. I got the shots that I needed. And so we start cooking one by one, adding some additional reference along the way. Pretty much at this stage, and the process starts to repeat itself. Again, very important thing I learned is that for each iteration, for each episode, there might be a little bit different approach. Let's say in some cases I had to remove Playblast and try without them. And in some shots, it can be rather confusing. For example, there will be a shot when he stands from the floor, and if on the Playblast you just show the solid plane, which is the floor, and he's basically looking on the floor, and I don't want to bother like with this hand animation like he stands out, and in that case you have to be creative, use master prompt for the location, describe it more, and try to do that with video AI right away. But those were small shots. For the majority, I was using Playblast and they were working absolutely great. Here also for the pool scene, I got really nice reference, and then I used my master prompt to rework it to fit my pool scene. And one more thing about VFX. When you're gonna generate your shots with Seedance or any other model, really, do not spend your time asking it for VFX, transitions, etc. that potentially it can do that, but the amount of time and tokens you're gonna waste on that to get something really nice doesn't really worth it. All VFX, post-processing, editing will be done in the end. And if you want to get really good results, you cannot skip that part. That part really adds up all things together. And it's not that difficult. Same goes for the music. I explicitly asked Claude to provide next prompts for the videos with no music and can do voiceover and VFX for some environment. That's fine, but music I definitely put it myself because there will be one big video and I don't want to mess with it. Alright, and that is the longest part. To get right shots, match them with the storyboard, see that you have enough frames for the transition. And to be completely honest with you, and to get that one good shot for a segment, you can do up to 10 retries, which is expensive. But 5 to 10 retries is actually positive outcome. If you're gonna skip master prompts, Playblast, guidance, detailed script, you're gonna spend even more and probably left unsatisfied and frustrated. Additionally, I also found some VFX, such as VHS camera. Luckily, there's a lot of free templates with the green screen that you can use. Same goes for any glitch effects, etc. But main transitions are usually available in the editing software. In this case, I was doing everything with my editor and he works in Adobe Premiere. While I personally like CapCut, and all these transitions and effects are pretty much free, but they add a lot. And why post-processing for video AI is so important is that AI video, especially Seedance 4K, it looks too perfect, right? It looks extremely sharp, etc. So adding some distance blur, directional blur, lens distortion, motion blur maybe sometimes, etc. will absolutely change the view and make it more cinematic, more natural. Again, just few adjustments change it dramatically. And for example, this shot where my character goes up from the ground, this shaking effect, it's not generated. Well, basically it's generated, but it's processed with white time and posterized time effects. And that's how I show that blurriness in his eye. Can you try to do that with video AI? Yes, but you might spend quite a lot of tries. And we also added some sound effects. So some of them was going together with the glitches, transitions, etc. Some we had to add additionally to highlight some events. And with all that done, we can finally render the final video. Well, I expect like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think about it. Now, the goal of this video was to show you the real process, and now let me show you the real expenses. So here's how much all the generation it cost. And you can see I spent almost everything on the Seedance 2.0 to do the generation. But it also included some experience, so if I would to repeat it again, I would say I would spend maybe half or less than it is right now. But the tokens cost me almost $500. And in tokens, that might look expensive. But imagine shooting that yourself, I guess that will be more expensive. Overall, in terms of time, we spent intense 3 days. And to mention, if you're gonna use Higgsfield, there's a better option to go with Seedance. There's basically unlimited plan for Nano Banana and Seedance, and this is why professionals actually stick with Higgsfield, because if your plan goes $73 and more, and you can get unlimited access with to Seedance and Nano Banana Pro, it's limited by time, so you're gonna wait a little bit, but but your expenses will definitely be less than mine. That's it for today, guys. See you in the next one.